Hey YouTube. Look, I thought I'd put this video together because there's a bunch of videos on the JCA100 and the SLO100 mods. And I spent a lot of time researching this and I wanted to just share what I did. Now, I don't have any scripts or anything like this, so, like forgive me for any mistakes or if I have to jump around a little bit. I do my best to keep it as concise as I can. Right, I'll put some stamps in. So you can jump through to bits, hopefully, but let's see how it turns out, right? I'm not a YouTuber, so I'm just going to try and put it together and hopefully it will help someone. So what I did was I got a JCA100 100. I'll put a photo of it up here as well, just so you see it. But anyway, so it's a great amp, sounded really, really good, but I bought it with a view of doing the SLO mods, right? So that's what I did. So now anyway, what you see on your screen here is this is the mod I started with, right? So what I did was I bought a bunch of parts and I did a few other things as well, but I'll go through all of that, right? So anyway, this is freely available on the internet, but I'm sure you can just screenshot this if you wanted to, but anyway, you can get it pretty easily. So what I did was I did all these changes here. So did the R42 and C28 change and all the other ones you see here, right? So I did all that and I put it together and it sounded pretty good, right? It sounded pretty good. But, I wanted to do a few more changes and I obviously did the R19 change down here as well. But it sounded pretty good, but I really wanted to do a few more changes. So one of the things that I found, and you'll find the video on YouTube, I've forgotten the guy's name. He's not active anymore. I think his name's Ricky. Anyway, he's got a really good video on changing the caps in this, right? So then I started to learn more about what the capacitors do in the power section, right? So what I did was I decided to change the power section because, it's pretty well known and most people know that the JCA 100, 50, 22, 20, whatever, they're not SLO clones as such. They are, I think, more like the Atomic, or another one of Soldano's amps. Um, and but with these changes that you see on the screen, that will turn it into a effectively an SLO, right? All the other parts are exactly the same. But the thing is, the SLO has a different filter, has different filter caps and this sort of thing, and that makes a difference, right? I don't see enough people talking about this on the internet. When I do my research and that sort of thing, and I watch, head first, Jason's videos, which I'm going to bring up his stuff in a sec. They are really good, and I've learned so much from watching Jason and Rubber Duck Tech as well, and Sonic Audio, and I've really tried to learn from these guys, and try to just emulate what they do, but try to understand why. And that's what I'd encourage you to do as well. Is don't just blindly do the mods and hope for the best, right? And it's good listening to these guys because you can trust them. I trust them, but I try to understand what the changes are doing, right? So I know it's a pain, but if you can do a change and then test it, do a change and test it, that's really the good way of doing it. So be safe, right? Don't go killing yourself with bloody high DC voltages. Understand what you're doing and how to get rid of voltages off a tube amp and that sort of thing, and just don't be stupid about it. All right, so don't go doing this and blaming me for it, right? If you kill yourself on this stuff, so just be safe. Right, so next, so I did all these changes, sounded good, right? So the next step is that let me bring up what we got next here. Okay, right, so if I got the slow, do I have the SLO schematic up here? Right, so they are labeled differently. This is the, excuse the Polish, this is the best I could do. But the filter caps, the first ones that you see here in the Soldano 100, SLO100 spec, are these similar sort of voltage ones. So we've got 200 UF through here, so just after these resistors. So now there's 4 of them, right? So when you look at the JCA 100, now I can only speak specifically about this amp, right? So you might want to check if you've got a 50 or another one, just check what you've got. But with these ones, it's labeled differently, but you can see they're 220 UF, but there's only 2 of them, right? And there's a few other differences through here as well. And Look, Ricky, whatever his name is, that guy there who did some great videos, but he seems to be inactive now. He's got a really good video on there. So I encourage you to go over there and find this out. But it wasn't immediately obvious when I saw him do it, and he didn't do a tone test, which I'll try to do on this video here. Hopefully I'll have something running through this video, so I won't make it so all this talking is so boring, right? Because I've done some talking videos before, and people just complain about it. So, but anyway, I'm here to give information. If you don't like it, just switch off, right? So anyway, so I went through and I replaced these. Now the effect on the tone of the amp is quite large when you do that. I didn't really understand this when I did it, but by doing it, I learned what the effect is and what it does. And one of the things that I really like about it, and I found, which I'm going to definitely keep this in mind for future mods, is so I changed. Well, actually, what it does, first of all, by increasing the capacitance, the values on these caps here, it makes the bass stronger. It makes the amp really sort of stiffer and tighter, and I really like that, because if I want things to change a bit, I can use some effects to change that around. I can use different speakers, and speakers are a massive part of your signal chain. So there's certain things you can do about that, but I'd rather have the tightness there personally, right? That's what I like. So if you don't like that, then don't do it, right? So, but if you want that sort of that big bottom end and tightness, then change it over. Now, what I did was, I'll go through the pics of the mods I did in a second, but I increased them. So I was considering putting a turret board in and wiring in 2 more filter caps and putting all that seemed like such a pain in the ass, right? So what I did was I used larger, higher capacity caps, right? 2 of them, and it did what I needed to do. But not only that, I did some more things, so I'll show you in the photos, right? So anyway, so that's an overview of the changes I made. Oh, and there's one more change that I made. Now, I will mention it now as opposed to later on, but what I found was, after doing the filter cap changes, after doing the SLO100 mods, I found in my particular instance, and I run a wet rig mostly. I have one of the metal grilled Mesabugi 4x12s, which is like the two 2x12 stuck together. Essentially, they're really, really interesting cabs, and I really like them. I've got a Zilla Super Fat Boy, and I've got a hacked up cab that came with my JCA, which I don't like, but I put EVs in it. So all my cabs have got EV M12Ls, right? All from the late 80s. They all sound fantastic. I am getting another speaker in soon. I'm getting a classic lead 80 because I like that speaker. I just thought, hey, you know what? Why not? I've got like 7 EVs. I thought I would throw one in there for a different flavor. Anyway, right. So that's my setup. So that's how it sounded with mine. Now, I found that with all of these changes, it sounded fantastic, but I didn't have enough top end by it. I didn't have enough mid by it. Increasing the mids didn't really do it. I put a mid sweep on, which I'll show you in a sec. That didn't really do much. I end up sort of moving the dial around and pretty much putting it in default position. So that was a bit of a waste of time doing that mod. I put a depth mod in as well. This was prior to really knowing what the effect this was going to be. So learn from my mistakes, right? So I probably didn't need to put the depth mod in, but look, you know what? I'm happy it's there. Anyway, I'll show you that in a second. So I'll put a time stamp in. Let's jump into some of the mod photos. I can show you what I did. Right, so starting with the filter caps. So these are the 2 big Kemet Maiden EU caps here, which I'll show you the values of in a tick. It's 450 volts. I think it's 470 UF. Right. Anyway, these are the next 2 in the line. So I changed these ones with really good quality 220 UF. So I think in the stock amp you'll find that they are. I'm not going to flick back to it. I think that they were originally 100. So I doubled the capacitance of that, matched what's in the SLO. Right. That's the key here. I matched what was in the SLO. By the way, I also changed all of the caps. If the JCA, because in some instances the JCA had higher rated caps, like bigger caps essentially, I left those in, right? And what I did was I just switched them out, right? So I decided that I wanted to switch out all the caps anyway. I just put in really, really high quality caps, which I got from Mouser or as components. Anyway, right, in this picture, so you see the big filter caps here where my mouse pointer is. I'll go through those in a sec. You'll see the 220 UF caps I put in here to match the SLO spec. These other caps here, I think they're a bit larger, you know. But anyway, watch Ricky's video. And this one here. And perhaps what I might do is I might get, like, say, a list of the bill of materials I think I had that I'll just whack it up on the screen somewhere, right? So anyway, the other thing I did, which was recommended, was I increased the size of the diodes. Now, you've got to be really careful with these because the holes in the JCA are fantastic. Like the double-sided, thick boards, double-sided pads, as I'm sure you probably already know. But you really, really have to clean out the solder out of these holes here to fit these in. Listen, they were a squeeze. I think the tolerance is, you know, like there is the wire here is about the same size as the hole, right? I'm not actually sure I got them all the way through. I cleaned out all of the solder. I got them in as well as I could. And then I soldered them in really, really well. So, you know, I made sure I gave it a lot of heat. You'll see the solder joints are all, you know, as good as I can get them, right? They're solid. They're quite, you know, they're really good joints. So anyway, when I flipped, and also when I flipped, this goes for all of the mods I did. So when I flipped the board over, I couldn't tell which parts I changed and which ones were factory. So, you know, I take that as a good sign. But anyway, I've been soldering for a while now. I've messed up a lot, but getting better at it now, thank God. But anyway, I changed the diodes around, right? So that's this one here. Let's go through the next one. So there is another cap I changed, 68 UF. And also this, when you look at these micro caps here, and there's a bunch more on the board, which will come up in other photos. They were all ceramic caps. This one here is another one. They were all ceramic caps. You know, look, I don't have anything against ceramic caps, but like they can get a little microphonic. You know, I'm just, you know, I just wanted to change them out, right? Now, maybe I needed to, maybe I didn't need to, but I did, and that's what I did. And I think I left one ceramic cap in, right? So anyway, so that's that there. Here's a view from above. Excuse the reflection here from my lights. But now in this photo, you see some of the cap changes here, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in this photo, if I haven't missed one. Now, you'll see here, I left these two diodes. They were switching diodes, I believe. You didn't really need to change them. These ones I did, though, just to be safe. You'll see my depth mod here. So I've got a 0.0047 UF cap here, I think it was. This is, I'll put the spec up on this one. I can't remember exactly what it was, but anyway, I ran the depth mod slightly differently. I pulled up this resistor here. Now, the way it runs is it goes from a negative feedback. It comes, now understand this, the negative feedback, it comes from the 4 ohm tap. You know, again, when I started doing this stuff, that wasn't immediately obvious, right? Maybe it is to you guys. It wasn't to me, right? So anyway, so it comes from the 4 ohm tap, runs along, goes into the board here, goes into this resistor. I think it's R3 or whatever, but I can't quite read it. It goes into R3, and then it goes out the other side. Now, what I did was I ran a wire here to go through this cap here into the depth mod, and hopefully I haven't screwed this up. I'm not an expert at this, right? So, but I believe I've got it right. So, and then that then will goes back. It goes into the resistor, which is still soldered into the board here, and then it goes through, you know, the other bits of the circuit as to what it does. And this one here goes to ground, so this filters off the high end. This one here sort of, anyway. Listen, you know what? I'm not an expert. This is how I did it, right? I looked at stuff online, and this is how it comes out. So don't crucify me for this, but that's how I did the depth mod. I had to bloody mess around with this for ages, right? I just, even now, it doesn't seem to really make any difference, hardly. So that's why I was saying before, I wasn't sure if it was worth it. Look, if I've screwed this up, please put it in the comments and tell me what I've done wrong, because, you know, this was the biggest pain in the ass in the whole mod, this depth mod. The other one is where I took out R24 and I put in a 100K pot here, which I ripped out of an old pedal I was building. That just sweeps between pretty much 0 and 100K. And I think the stock value was about 47K. So this just changes the frequency where the mids come in, I believe. Oh, there's another cap I changed here. Right, okay, so you can see some of the mica caps, and I changed R23 because this one was burning out. I've seen it on a few of the other videos. The resistor changes color. I pinged it off and I put in a 2-watt resistor here. Just looks a little different, but it's a 2-watt resistor. Okay, right, there's the resistor here, and another close-up. That's a 100K pot that I was talking about there. Right, okay. I got this part by mistake. It's actually, I think it's 1NF, this one here. It's usually like a small one, sort of more this sort of size. This is like a 600 volt one. I don't know why they sent it to me, but it's the same capacitance, so it works and it fits in there. But it's just this enormous bloody cap, which didn't need to be that big. It doesn't need to be 600 volts either. But anyway, listen, look at the pots. I decided not to change them. I had some trouble getting 500K pots, so I just whacked a 1 meg, I think it's 1 meg resistor over the top of it, and boom. Right, if you're not sure, just look it up. But that's what I did to reduce this to 500K. Does the job. Put this cap in here on C27. Look, I had them here. Probably, you know, a sort of a film cap like this would have been better, but I had it. It's the same thing at same capacitance. It works. Sounds good. I use it in a Marshall, similar cap to this in a Marshall mod before, so I just whacked it in there. And I changed this one here as well. Changed a cap here from the ceramic one to this because I did. Same photo. Right, okay, this is a mod that okay. Now, after what I was going, this is going back to what I said before. So I did these, I changed over those big filter caps and made them really big, and I found that I didn't have enough top end and bite, not for at least for what I like, right? So what I did was I borrowed a bit from Jason Tong's modification, and I sort of quote unquote Marshallized I think it's called the cold clipper from V1B. So V1A is a clean channel, I believe, the normal channel, and V1B is the first gain stage of the overdrive channel. And so what I did was I specifically changed over these here. I put a 2K7 resistor here and a 0.68 UF electrolytic cap, and I made sure that I had the ground on the right side. These are, obviously that's important to make sure you've got these aligned correctly with the negative and positive sides. So I whacked that in and there, and then I tested it this morning, and it did exactly what I needed. I didn't need to make any other changes to bring that top end up because I like the way it is now. I liked it before, but it just didn't quite have enough top end. I was having to crank the presence and crank the treble, and so that's what I did. This fixed the issue, and I'd highly encourage that. Make a change, listen to it, let your ears tell you if you got it right, and then if you need to make more changes, do it. If I had gone through and made like the 4 or 5 changes that I had in the list that was going to fix my problem, then I would have gone too far overboard. I could have screwed it up. Right, here's some of the, you can see the mod here. This is some of the other caps changing. You can see the values. Here, I'll skip through the rest pretty quickly. We don't need, there's the app. There you go. That's what it looks like. I just drew these on using a white paint pen thing. I don't know how else to do it. I could have used a different dial, I guess, with numbers on it, like sort of Mark IV Mesa Boogie style, but I didn't. That's all there is to say about that. And there's my mid sweep thing. I put it here. I've seen people put it here as well. It just seemed to make more sense to have it here because that was where the wires were the shortest. That's where the resistor is. So anyway, so that's the pictures of the mod. Right, so I will leave it at that. I might chuck in some extra pictures after this as well. But listen, the takeaway from this is that when you do the changes, try to understand what the changes are going to do. If you can't find that out, then make the change, make it so you can reverse it if you need to. Test it out, let your ears do the listening. But in the end, this amp is absolutely killer. I absolutely love this amp. Now, I love my Fuchs, and I've had 2203s, and I've had a stack of amps, right? And what I really like personally is I like getting something that's pretty close to what I like. I don't really want to go and start modding old Marshalls and things like that. That's just. But the thing is, they aren't exactly what I want either, right? So the 2203 I had was a reissue. I modded that as well, but it didn't quite do it. I did the JEL mod. Thanks, Jason. On that, sounded good, but just wasn't really quite what I wanted. The SLO100 is fantastic, but again, it's not really exactly what I wanted, and I didn't really want to drop 4K, 3 or 4K on an amp and then mod it necessarily. That's not good. So this is the perfect amp to mod. They don't make them anymore, at least not like this. They can still be found every so often. I've got this one pretty cheap. There was one cheaper in December that I saw. I'm based in London, and I couldn't get it at the time, but that was a 50 watt. That's fine. 50 watts great. I really wanted the 100 watt. This came up. I got it for a song, and it doesn't matter if I mod it and change it and whatever. But what I've done here and what I would encourage you to do, and you're probably watching this, if you're watching this at all, if anyone's stuck around through my rambling through this whole video, then you deserve a medal. But look, what I like doing is getting an amp which sounds really pretty good, which has got a really good design. This has got a great circuit board. It's really well made. They use really good quality parts in these amps. And I would, and then I mod it to tweak it to the way I want this to be. Now, resale value, probably couldn't sell it for as much as I'd probably sell it for what I paid for it, right? Which wasn't a huge amount. I don't care, right? It's not why I bought it. I didn't buy it to try and have some sort of something to resell later or something like this. And I don't like being too precious with things. I do this with my guitars. I like buying good guitars. Like I've got a few PRSs and a few other good guitars here. I like being able to mod my guitars, and I like modding my amps to make it so it's my sound, right? I don't like copying other people. It's just me. It's just not in my DNA to just try and get somebody else's tone. I never have, and I never will. I've been playing for like over 30 years, and it's always in a pursuit of trying to find my voice, right? Not about copying someone else's tone. Now, if you like that, then great. You probably wouldn't have been watching this video if that's what you do. You're probably like me if you're watching this and you're still here. So go ahead, get something like this. I highly recommend it. It's been done for a long time, but I recommend look at all of the sources, get all of the different bits, all the different schematics, and listen to what Jason's mod did. Look into the SLO mod, and listen to a Soldano, and try to work out what you want to hear out of the amp, and then understand what the mods, what it does to the sound, and do the ones you want. And then if you can't find out, make a change, do the test, have a listen. If it's no good, change it back. If you like it, great. Go through and tweak it. Resistors and capacitors, they're just changing what gets through the circuit, and you can make it whatever you want. So live long, prosper, rock on.